How you doing? I'm Peter Hoogerzeil. It says on the schedule that I'm the Strategic Director of High Sales Strategy, which I am. I'm also a public high school teacher in Seekonk. I teach history in Seekonk, and I want to talk to you about the ballot initiative where you see people looking for signatures to end Common Core in Massachusetts. I'm proud to say I'm one of the first 10 signers of that ballot initiative. So I'm here as a teacher, so I want to kind of teach a little bit of a class. I'm not going to use the smart board. I'm going to use what I call a class, not the dumb board, but usually there's smart boards and electronic. I'm going to use this. So we're going to do a word problem. Now, mind you, any mathematicians, I'm a history teacher, but I think I can get through this word problem. It's pretty simple. So let's say you have a house, a really nice house, that's worth $2 million. Great neighborhood, you have everything that you want in your house, okay? You worked hard your whole life, your business, whatever, to get that, okay? And then you have many in town, you have a lot of, not too bad condos that are worth about $300,000. Well, the government comes to you and says, look, I'll give you $5,000, okay? Over 5 years, if you move out of this $2 million house and move into the $300,000 condo, okay, but still pay the bill for the $2 million house. How many of you do that?
No one better did it.
This is how I look at, from different perspectives, what Common Core is. The state of Massachusetts, since 1993 with education reform, has spent $100 billion in property taxes, in state local aid, circuit breaker reimbursements, to make Massachusetts become the #1 state in achievement in English language arts and mathematics and science in the country. And if you take Massachusetts and you pull it out of the country and put it up against the world, in the top 5. That was 2010. $100 billion.
Now, since what year have they spent the $100 billion? You said since
1993, when ed reform was passed. It was a bipartisan effort. Yeah. Governor Weld, Senate President Tom Birmingham, State Representative Mark Roosevelt. Two major things, two simple things. We're going to put more investment into education. That means more spending in education. However, states had to adopt high and rigorous standards. I'll get to that in a minute. Let me go back to my problem here. So, $100 billion was spent. Well, Massachusetts took, and it's the same percentage, I checked it, $250 million, over 5 years, to trade the best standards in the country for something that's common. Common. I mean, a $300,000 condo is nice. It's common, right? The $2 million, a nice house. I don't know if you can even get a waterfront in some areas for $2 million, but I'm not too sure on my real estate here, okay? Probably not. But I want you to see here what Massachusetts did. Everybody says, Common Core, there's problems in education in the country. Granted, there's problems in anything that government has anything to do with. And I say that as a public school teacher, okay? But what we did in Massachusetts is this. And that is why, as a taxpayer and a parent and a teacher, I oppose Common Core being adopted in Massachusetts. Mind you, a vote of 12 people. The Board of Elementary and Secondary Education voted for this, never went to a legislature, never came to the people. Okay? The other reason I'm against it, obviously we traded the best standards in the country for something we didn't even know about. And we're finding out that these standards are a joke. But Massachusetts, they're a joke. Everybody says, well, you're having a hard time implementing Common Core because as a history teacher, I have to put in the reading and writing standards. I have a problem. It's a joke. Okay, so we're spending money in professional development and wasting my time and our students, well, even worse, it's not wasting our students' time, it's harming our students, wasting teachers' time to implement something that is easily inferior. On top of that, our nation's report card results for 4th grade reading came out, last month I believe. We're down 5 points. They say that will take 10 years to get back up. It's unacceptable. Now, what are standards? Everybody asks me, what is Common Core and what are standards? Standards are pretty simple. Standards is what do you need to know? Okay? What do you need to know? Content. In English, who are the great authors? The different kinds of writers, the different writing periods. How do you read between the lines in literature and poetry? Which Common Core is completely decimated. Because now English teachers have to spend half their time with nonfiction informational tests to really more bore our students. I teach at the high school level, they're bored to tears in English. And then I go to introduce them, well, we already did that in English. But that's Common Core. So standards is what do you know in terms of content. Now, how many of you have heard of MCAS? Okay? Massachusetts put forth standards in 1993 which were based on content. And how do you measure? It's by MCAS, which is a battery of tests to measure what kids know before they graduate. It's given, the final MCAS is given in 10th grade, and it's a graduation requirement for English, language, arts, math, and science, which is biology. So we want to know that we're spending all this money in education, and our students know something that's really useful and important, right? Well, Common Core standards, they're not really standards. They're more glorified skill sets, particularly in English language arts. I can't speak much for math, so I don't teach it, and God forbid if I ever did. Our kids would be in trouble, okay? I just can't hang with it. So, Common Core basically says, well, this is how you write. This is how you write a thesis and make an argument. But there's no content with it. The Massachusetts standards, through the years, is who are the writers and the different styles, what's the content, and then the skills are what you use to prove you know the content. What Common Core does is focus on content. For instance, anybody ever been a teacher of literacy or English or anything close to that? Okay. What makes the best literacy program? If you look at reading versus writing or writing versus reading, what percentage between reading and writing should be done in a good literacy program?
Reading.
2/3 of your curriculum should be reading.
Yeah.
And about 1/3 should be writing.
Yeah.
Well, Common Core flips it upside down. 2/3 of the time they're writing, and 1/3 of the time they're reading. I don't know, it's common sense to me. If you can't read, you can't write. But Common Core flips that upside down. So these are pretty easy examples why Common Core should be ended in Massachusetts. They're inferior standards. We're going to pay Massachusetts taxes, as we talked about, for, I don't know, Mississippi or Arkansas results, which isn't good. Okay? And it takes away our local control. My biggest fear as a parent, so what are you teaching in school? Well, I'm sorry, you've got to call your congressman or Pearson Education because, you know, it's Common Core. This is what we have to do. This is what's scripted to us. It will get to that. If it gets cemented in Massachusetts when they bring out science standards and history standards, that's what it's going to turn into. Then parents and taxpayers are going to have to flip the bill and have no say in what goes on in the schools. As a teacher, to me, that's unacceptable. And I tell anybody this, if that continues in education, I'm getting out of it. Which will break my heart, because I love teaching, I love working with kids, but I got into education to be a teacher, to educate children, for them to think for themselves, not to indoctrinate them with what's given to me. And that's why I'm one of the signatories of this. And I can close by saying I'm more than willing to come to any of your communities, to talk to anyone as a teacher, as someone that's a signer of this. The money, the politics, whatever it is, I'm kind of uniquely qualified on that. Hold on one second. But the name of the game is by November 18th, we need signatures. And this is what Michael's going to talk about. We need to get this on the ballot. Then the real debate and the real battle is going to happen. But we need each and every one of you here to get some sheets and get those signatures, just like to end the tobacco tax, the sales tax on tobacco. We need you to get those signatures, because if it doesn't get on the ballot, Bill Gates and Pearson Education, those special interests win. And if we beat it here in Massachusetts, we kill it in the country. We can make a difference in the whole nation. We can kill Common Core right here in Massachusetts and take it out in the whole country. And with that, I'll be glad to take any questions.